everyone, so I'm Trinity Williams and I'm going to be talking through my idea and my pitch for you. So I'm going to be pitching my idea for my FMP. So I've come up with the name Be Unsettling, and here you'll see my concept, and I'll get into a minute why I named it Be Unsettling. So for my FMP, I'm going to produce a 5-minute edit to try to portray how things can trigger and take a toll on your mental health. This could be like heavy workload, school, social media, friends and family. I will explain how these things can contribute to your health in a negative way. I myself was to successfully be the narrator and share my experience and try to portray my story through someone else. I'm reaching out to make you all aware of how you can become bad situations. So my FMP is about like anxiety. So that's why I named it Be Unsettling, as you kind of have that like anxious, on edge feeling as you look at yourself and you feel like unsettled. So that's why I named it Be Unsettling. So my initial aim would try to tell people you are not alone, even if they think they are. I want people to understand how their mental health is more important than anything. The concept would me be sharing people's triggers. My target audience would be millennials to Generation X, which is aimed at 11 to 25-year-olds. To help resolve this, I will give tips on how to deal and overcome stress, manage your time, take deep breaths because you will get through it, as depression and anxiety aren't something to be ashamed of, and anyone can suffer. So let's move on. So here you can see my themes, which my themes are like mental health, anxiety and depression, and we'll get into more about the definitions of that in a minute. But as you can see here, you can see like minds and you can see like different colours and like how the colours convey different feelings through the person's emotions. So you can see the different tones of like blues, different shades of like pinks, purples, reds, oranges, yellows. You can see like grey. You see like a bunch of colours through the person's mind because that's how they're feeling, because colours, emotions link with colours, which I find really cool. But we'll get on the colour psychology soon. So here are my themes in detail. So let's start with anxiety. So anxiety is a feeling of unease, such as worry or fear, that can be mild or severe. Everyone has feelings of anxiety at some point in their life. For example, you may feel worried and anxious about key things in your life. So depression is a low mood that lasts for weeks or months and affects your daily life. Symptoms of depression include feeling unhappy or hopeless, low self-esteem and finding no pleasure in things you usually enjoy. It's not a condition with one specific cause. So mental health, a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. Stress is our body's response to pressure. Many different situations or life events can cause stress. It is often triggered when we experience something new, unexpected, or that threatens our senses of self. And when we feel we have little control over situations, we all deal with stress differently depending on the circumstances. So we're going to move on to like contextual research. So I, in my research report, did the history of mental health, and we went into detail of the Mental Health Act. So here you can see mental health asylums, and this was in like Victorian times, so like 1959, around those times. And you can see how like people who had mental health disorders were treated really differently and put into asylums as they were seen as like special and out of the ordinary, and they weren't like normal people, because people didn't take mental health into account and they thought it was just bizarre and strange and thought they were crazy. So in 1959, more than a decade after the NHS was established, Parliament passed the Mental Health Act. Under the new act, entry to hospital was to be decided on medical rather than legal terms. There was also some attempt to interrogate mental health care with the wider NHS. So they established the Mental Health Act in 1959. Mental health treatment has remained largely uncharged in the years before the NHS was created. Methods and practice were old-fashioned, and mental health in general was shrouded in stigma. People suffering from mental health problems and mental disabilities were treated inside Victorian asylums, where they were kept apart from their communities and away from the public view. So next is the zeitgeist of mental health. So the definition of zeitgeist is the defining spirit or mood of a particular period of history as shown by the ideas and belief of the time. So here I've looked at the zeitgeist of mental health, and you can see through the facts and statistics and the charts, the bar graph, the demographics of mental health. So I'm going to be talking you through some. So children and young people, okay, mental health problems often developed early. So 1 in 10 children aged 5 to 16 have a diagnostic condition. 1 in 2 people with all mental health problems are established by the age of 14. 3 in 4 of the mental health problems are established by the age of 24. So a majority of UK adults have experienced mental health issues. So 38 in the last 12 months. So 38% is anxiety, 36% is stress, 17% is panic attacks, 25% mood swings, and you can see percentages throughout the last 12 months. 4 in 10 UK adults said that the pandemic has had a negative effect on their mental health. So during COVID time, when it was really stressful for everyone, and 26% of people can't relate and have none of the above. So let's move on to the police cells for mental health crisis. So this is the number of times custody used as a place of safety under the Mental Health Act in England and Wales. So in 2014 to 2015, 4,537 people were in a prison cell due to their mental health, and in 2015 to 2016, it went down, it decreased by 54%, and there were a remainder of 2,100 people. This was on the BBC. So, common mental disorders by age and sex. So, here you can see this is in 2014, and the graph shows men, women, all adults from the age 16 to 24 to 75 onwards. And you can see how it fluctuates throughout the different genders and their age. So we're going to move on to audience profile. So, as I said, I'm going to be aiding this at millennials, 11 to 25 to Generation X. So the audience profile. So I would do it through social media like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. I would put my concept out there, and it's for all ethnicities. I would look at bibliographies, and it's kind of similar because it's personal. The platforms I would put it on would be Netflix, BBC Three, Amazon Prime, educational programs. So here is my schedule. So we started our FMP 24th of January, which was ages ago. So as you can see, we started an introduction of FMP, what it meant and stuff, and what was to come. The deadline is May 6th, so we had a lot of time, but it's gone extremely quick. We finalised our idea, so we started our proposal for UAL, we started doing workflow chart, we set targets every week. So in the second week I started my pitch, which is the PowerPoint that I am presenting now. We started our one-page proposal and our research report, so I then went on to contextual research. I did my proposal, my script, and 3 similar products that link to my FMP. I then moved on to the visual research, which is idea development and adapt on my idea. Then I did my research report again, but after each section, so after the audience research, so contextual research, the visual research, I then did the 3 hows, why have I conducted this research, so I just did all that stuff, did a little self-evaluation after each point to get an overall analysis on it. I then continued to adapt my research, and I looked at the critical perspectives of the key themes, so as I mentioned previously. like depression, stress, anxiety, and mental health. Then I started to make a questionnaire about my concept, so I sent my questionnaire off to my friends and my family and my teachers and my classmates. So I wrote down my concept, then I listed down some questions below, and then they answered it, and then I interpreted their opinions and feedback, and I got a variety of different feedback, so everyone had different perspective, and it really helped me get a better gauge of other people's point of view. Then just continue to adapt my research and keep on track of my reflective journal. I then should have recorded my pitch, but I didn't do it on that day. If we move on, I had to compare like target audience, like the trends, update my primary and secondary school research, and then we got taught about problem solving, so the issues that you had to try and resolve through the whole FMP course. That could have been like either the production, the pre-production or the post-production, so anything that didn't go according to plan or that you had to try and find like a different way around it. I got feedback from my teacher, so I just improved that, just stuff like that. And then we moved on to budget. Like an overall, we had to like the budget for like hiring equipment out, for like cameras, like how much it would cost if you would have to like hire a studio, like a green screen room, or just like location or like food if you would like to pay your actors, stuff like that in general. This is where it gets a bit packed, so we should have started to film by like the end of March. So I started to film in my house. We shot in the park and on the tube and stuff. Then I had some problem solving because I had to buy a new laptop, and that caused like a lot of stress, but luckily it came during Easter half term, which was good. Then I started to do a voiceover for my narration for my FMP like film. I added to my problem solving log. I just had to keep on like adding to my reflective journal and stuff because it plays a key part in this at the end of the day. And then I nearly finished my SWOT, which is like a SWOT analysis of the whole production. So you have strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So I've done all that for pre-production, production, and post-production. So I'm just trying to keep on track of everything, but that is all for the schedule, and that is due in on the 6th of May. So I currently have a week and 4 days, which is not a lot. So we're going to move on to my primary research. So I did online forums, so I sent my work to either my friends and my family so they can get like an ideal basis of my concept. I asked my teachers and classmates for advice and feedback, and we pitched like our idea to them at the front of the class. We did focus groups in lesson. Again, I got more wider feedback. And then, as I said previously, we conducted a questionnaire to gather qualitative and quantitative data, which was what I found really, really helpful. So I got loads and loads of feedback, which helped like aid my performance in my concept. And also independent learning, so I did a ton of researching. For the secondary research, I went on Google and searched IMDb for my similar products, and I evaluated their reviews for my similar products that linked to my concept. So I found that really helpful because you got to see their reviews of the film and just look in detail of similar products. I then went on to the Zeitgeist and statistics and trends of mental health for my contextual research, and I was looking at scripts and stuff like that. So here's a more in-depth of who I'm target audience I'm going to be focused on, which is millennials, so age 11 to 18, which is my secondary research, and my primary target audience is 18 to 25. So the millennials are known as the snowflake generation as they're really sensitive. I feel like Facebook is the most common social media platform used, but in my opinion, I think it's like TikTok. Now, I'm recording my pitch. I'm recording my pitch. On average, they use their smartphones like 18 hours per week, but I think it's gone up massively. Millennials is the largest generation, and their main use of social media is like mainly Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. So here we go into detail of emotions which colour convey and the colour psychology. So I would incorporate grey, as it has a lot of connotations of depression and sadness, and it's an extremely like dull colour, and I want to portray that through my character as a blank canvas who needs colour to express themselves, because grey is known as like dull, moody and sad colour that affects the mind and the body by causing unsettling feelings linked to my title. Too much grey creates sadness of and depression, and it evokes the feeling of loneliness and isolation. I would also incorporate blue, as it gives the audience a sense of calm during the film, but it also used to create somber scenes. This would target the audience as the colour is less depressing and gives the character some hope. But too much blue can come across as cold and uncaring. Blue is stereotypically known as one of the sad colours. Blue also creates negative feelings of melancholy, sadness, self-righteousness, and self-centeredness. Too much blue also creates negative feelings and evokes suspicion, depression, stubbornness, and unreliability. Green especially can symbolize many colours, as it psychologically affects you in many different ways. Green can be soothing and relaxing, however it also helps alleviate a feeling of anxiety and depression and nervousness. Purple also indicates a person's sensitivity. Yellow is associated with hope as well as warmer colours, as they have uplifting feeling to your mood. The brighter the colour, the more happy and optimistic it will make you feel. So colour psychology is based on the mental and emotional effects that colours have on people in their everyday life. There are some very subjective pieces in colour psychology as well as some accepted and proven elements. Keep in mind that there will be a various of different interpretations, meaning and perception, meaning that everyone has different interpretations what different colours mean to them as it affects their emotions, so it will all be different for different people. The equipment I would use would be, try to hire out a camera. So here is a Panasonic 920 camera, a stabilizer, which keeps the camera stable so it won't be shaky. For my last film, we didn't use stabilizer, and some of my shots needed stabilizing in post-production, but it made it like jelly looking, so I thought I'll try out the stabilizer. A tripod, an LED light to make the colours different. It just mainly is good because it shines more like light on the talent's face and everything, and an iPhone if I can't use as backup, in case we don't get a camera. The locations I would film is my house, the park, and the tube. Here is my visual research, like mood board in a way. So we now see like the color psychology and the different colors and their meanings. We have some shots that I like visually, as you can tell from the shots that I got from the internet. You can see how I want it to be. Like the character looks really depressed. They've got their head on there, they've got their hands on their head and everything. And I just like the way these shots kind of look. So another part of my visual research is like photographers and artists that are inspiring like my idea visually. So here we talk about Pablo Picasso and his blue period. So here you can see a variety of Picasso's blue period work. So if you don't know, but I'm sure you do know, Pablo Picasso was a Spanish painter, sculptor and printmaker. And he designed the majority of his adult life in France. He chose the colour blue deliberately because these paintings are tragic and lifeless, indicating misery and poverty and pain. And the colour blue appears to have been used in Picasso's cold connotations that it carries. While back in 1903, he had produced his blue period work, which seemed to reflect his experience of relative poverty and instability, depicting beggars from the street. Pablo Picasso opened his own studio during the Blue Period time as the turn of the century in Paris, France. So I like his colour palette which he uses because it's blue, and as I spoke before, blue indicates a variety of different emotions through the character, and all these people are like alone, and it just describes how he was feeling during the time. So source of visual inspiration is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. For example, here Harry has real life dreams and flashback form. They're quick, rapid chops, and they're reoccurring. So I want to have mostly like static shots with a few panning shots. I'm doing this to make it feel as orderly and slow as possible to create tension. So here Harry has a dream, like a flashback, but the shots are really rapid and it's really erratic. I like that. The way it looks visually. Another inspiration is Iron Man 3. We can now see like Tony's having an anxiety attack. He is triggered when two children come into the restaurant with an autograph. When they ask for an autograph of a drawing of Iron Man. And this shot looks really cool visually when he has his panic attack. I like how the shots are like panning and everything. Another visual inspiration is the film Inside on Netflix. It's by comedian Bo Burnham, and he shot this during COVID. And he was by himself, he was all alone with no crew and no audience, and I think this is like shows how talented he is. He did it all on his own, like a one-man film. And I love the blue that he uses, and just visually like the projector, the lights and the shadows, it just like creates a cool look. Another one is a short film on Netflix called Uncontrollable. I like this part of the film, as you can see there's so many tabs. It's like there's so many tabs and they won't go away, like more and more thoughts that like she can't control. It feels like the tabs continuing to open on my computer. Like she's saying the more like tabs you click, it's just like more thoughts going into your mind. I thought that metaphor was like really cool. So here's some like director's inspiration and colours palettes, like what I want to include in my film. Just like my mood board, not really to it, but just the colour palettes I want to use. And how I plan on getting my feedback would be through social media, posting on Instagram, TikTok and YouTube, and like getting more people's opinions of what I could have improved and if it relates to my concept, if I portrayed it well. And I also plan on doing a questionnaire as well. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy my pitch and I hope it makes sense. Sorry if I waffled. But yeah, thank you.